Today on Extra Trashy, we have to answer just one question. Is Capcom out of their damn mind? That's what we're going to find out today, because we have just received the official announcement that Capcom Cup XII is officially going pay-per-view for the finals for both the main Capcom Cup XII Top 16 bracket and the Street Fighter League World Championships. The final 2 days will cost 4,000 yen each, or 6,000 yen for the bundle, to be able to watch these events live, which is about $27 if you want to pick and choose which day you want to watch, or $40 for those final 2 days. And for those who don't want to cough up the money to pay to watch this event live, don't worry, you get the VODs for free a week later. And this announcement was dropped out of nowhere onto the FGC, and the whole community had a lot to say about it, us included. So I'm back here with IDOM, and we're going to break down what the hell is Capcom thinking. Is this a good play for Capcom themselves? Is it good for the community? Does this benefit anybody? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Is this a strategic move to actually position Street Fighter VI Esports in a more positive and sustainable manner? I don't know. We're going to go ahead and get into it. So, Adam, did you have any initial reactions to this announcement? Because I was left scratching my head.
The pay-per-view for Capcom Cup it was very strange, but at the same time, I kind of get it. I was at Capcom Cup last year, and I have to say, Capcom Cup last year was actually one of the better events I've been to, because there was so much production and the arena was amazing. The fans were amazing. So much stuff about Capcom Cup last year was done really, really well. But that being said, if I didn't qualify this year and I had to pay $40 out of my own pocket, got to get my wallet, get my hard-earned cash out of my wallet and pay $40, I don't think I could do it personally.
Whoa, 1 second there. We'll get right back to the discussion about Capcom Cup going pay-per-view, but you know the drill. I'm here to let you guys know that we are available in full audio and video on Spotify. I know you guys are probably tired of me saying this by now, but we are so close to reaching partner on Spotify due to your support. So if you are interested in checking us out, you can definitely listen to Trash Talk and Extra Trashy on that platform. And if you're interested in supporting further, we have behind-the-scenes content and early access to mainland Trash Talk episodes and exclusive tutorials and other content available over at the Brian F Patreon at patreon.com/Brian_F. Okay, that's it. Back to the discussion. Yeah, the price is kind of absurd. So in the tweet announcement, this is the weird thing about it, is this was tweeted up by Capcom Fighters on, the Capcom Fighters Twitter account, which is historically an English first account run by generally assumed to be the Capcom USA offices, who have been the branch of the Capcom company that has managed the community-facing esports side of things. And so they are much more like boots on the ground in the community, interface with the socials, run a lot of the tournament streams. They're kind of been the face of the esports side of Street Fighter 6 and Capcom. And all it was an announcement about the schedule for Capcom Cup, and then just saying, hey, by the way, now give us money to watch this. No announcement about any sort of changes to the production, any sort of change to the format, any details about the rules around viewing this experience. Just saying, hey, now to watch this stream, which was every other year, every other Capcom Cup, free, and we're going back to the same venue last year, so there's an assumption of a very similar type of broadcast and program. It was free. Now you have to pay $40 to watch it instead, or if you're in Japan, it's actually cheaper to go there in person. The tickets to attend in person are actually cheaper than the pay-per-view broadcast. I mean, obviously, you can cough up more dough for more premium seats if they have those options as well. So it just logistically, or I would say the optics of it are horrible. Yeah. Horrendous. Because all it feels like to the community is, hey, here's something that was previously free, now we're charging you for it, with no sort of explanation or anything up front. Like, hey, we're giving away $1 million. Our esports division is doing rough. Maybe we need to start generate sales and revenue. Maybe instead we're going to be offering you a better broadcast, or we're trying to up the production quality. Nothing. There's no information. Yeah, this is one of the worst announcements I've ever seen. So the initial reaction from the community is entirely negative, and everyone's just trying to scramble to figure out what Capcom is thinking. I think that's the worst thing about this, is it seems so bizarre to just put down such a harsh paywall on something that was previously free, that we can't understand the reasoning behind it, and therefore it just leads to confusion and anger. Because I mean, like you said, you're hinting at like the scale of production of the show, and you were there in person. It's insane. So
Yeah.
maybe there is an issue of sustainability or being able to actually support this kind of show with the returns they're making from this venture, which we'll get into more details as we go on. But I think the big thing is there's no communication about it. Just a tiny tweet, and suddenly you can't watch Capcom Cup anymore.
I have to guess they're probably to me every esport is losing money. I don't want to get into the whole esports aspect of it and like, you're just bleeding money, but at the same time, to me it's obviously the $1 million. I think like the $1 million tournament to me is just like losing Capcom money. Like I don't know why they're still doing $1 million brackets, because after the first year of Capcom Cup, at least for me, I was like, oh, first year SF6 will be $1 million. After that, it'll probably go down to like back to 250 or whatever it be. So for me, I just think they're kind of using their money in kind of a wrong aspect, or they're not putting their money into kind of the right areas. I feel like they're trying to bring up other events as well. Like obviously they want Street Fighter League to be big. They've been pushing Street Fighter League Japan a lot. Street Fighter League US and Europe is still farther behind, but I think they want Capcom Cup in general to feel like a big show spectacle. But Capcom Cup has always been, obviously is a really big tournament, but for many of us, it's just like, oh, Capcom Cup's on, let me boot up. I mean, let me turn on Capcom Cup and watch my favorite players play. But now since it's behind a paywall, you can't even do that.
Yeah, I think we can't ignore the esports conversation here. That's entirely what this is, man. I think we got to get into it. And you bring up Street Fighter League. That's a good thing to bring up for context. This is not the first time Capcom has gone with the paywall approach. The first time we actually were introduced to this were previous seasons of Street Fighter League Japan for Street Fighter 6, which they took the playoffs and put them behind a paywall. That was done in Japan. And that was already like a Japanese only sort of product due to the fact that it's, weekly, the time zones. And on top of that, even before that paywall went up, Capcom had already been exercising their like copyright muscles and enforcing basically media blackouts around Street Fighter League Japan. You couldn't restream it. They would threaten copyright takedown notices. You couldn't even make content regarding it, because if you use matches in your footage for recaps, analysis, anything like that, like normal things that people do with tournament broadcasts in order to make actual proper transformative content to discuss and analyze and promote those events, that wasn't allowed with Street Fighter League Japan. So in general, I think Street Fighter League Japan was already losing its cultural relevancy outside of Japan, because a lot of people from the Western audiences rely on content aggregators and content creators. I would put like myself or like Broski, Sajam, whoever. We generally would be the ones like, hey, let's highlight something from this event and break it down, because the Western audience for sure was not up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. watching this, 4 a.m. when it airs. And they're not going to know anything about these players or storylines or the plays, but that was already limited. And then eventually they moved on to putting the paywall around the playoffs, and they did that last season as well. And from what I heard, it was around $26 USD, very similar to what the price is now. It's around the same price for one day of the finals, picking either Capcom Cup or Street Fighter League. That one day price is like $27. It was around the same price for Street Fighter League playoffs in the finals there. So if they were already able to paywall Street Fighter League in Japan, and then they're taking the same model and applying it to Capcom Cup, to me, that indicates that, hey, they've already found success or some kind of indication that this is a viable model for them to move forward. But I also kind of want to take a step back and like think about, why would they even want to do this? Because what was the point of esports? Like you said you wanted to stay away from that, dude. We have to get into it. What was the point of esports? For the longest time, it was to advertise the game.
Yeah, that's like kind of the main thing. That's what I think esports are in general. Like you watch the highest level of player, you watch other people play the game. Obviously, that can happen from not the competitive side, but even then, if you watch, I feel like maybe so many people got third strike because Daigo parry. Like that happens all the time. And that to me is just the esports side of things. So I can't imagine how many people I've met. I know so many people who bought Street Fighter 6 because of the first Evo when they saw MenaRD playing on the Evo main stage and they were like, "Oh, I got inspired watching Mena." So that happens often. So you have to think that that has to go into why they do tournament and esports in the first place.
That was the initial model, right? Like all this existed as, first of all, there were it was a prediction that maybe this would blow up and be so big that it would become like the next NBA, NFL, and there would be returns with merch and things like that. But the publishers always had a backup plan. So the issue with esports that it totally failed in the 2010s was the teams that were franchising and trying to be part of these leagues. Celebrities were buying out teams. Echo Fox, Ric Flair was, all these. Ric Flair.
Yeah,
what esports team was Ric Flair running? Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Ric Flair had his own esports team, regardless, too. Everybody and their mother was trying to get in on an esports team back in the 2010s, and they all lost millions of dollars because they were paying these franchisee spots to the actual publishers who were running the esports division, and the only one who was actually making a return on this was the publisher of the title, because the teams were paying fees to even be in the leagues, and also on top of that, it's advertising their game. People then buy the game or play the free-to-play game, buy the DLC, buy the costumes. They become part of the ecosystem, and it's all gravy for them, and everyone else was losing money. Now, so that was one side of it. The other side was the potential for this to grow in merch sales and stuff, which never panned out. That's why all the teams and everything is collapsing. So that is traditionally what the expectation for esports was for a very long time. So you have to imagine, when did it change? Like, when did the expectation become, hey, we need to make money on the esport directly, separate it from the product and its sales? Because one of the interesting points that I saw brought up, and Hi Fight tweeted about this, like some Capcom revenue, they highlight the esports revenue separate from the actual game sales. And they say, hey, look at our division. Our division for esports is losing like $67 million USD per year. But how can you divide that from the actual sales of the game and the DLC? To me, it's a marketing write-off. So there seems to be some kind of structural incentive from Capcom in their earnings reports where they're viewing the esports division as not a leg of the marketing department. They're viewing that as an actual separate entity that should be making a profit on its own, divorced from whatever potential sales that may be generating. And maybe they just don't have any way to track or understand like how much this is making a return on sales of Street Fighter 6, the game itself, or any DLC with the game itself. So I feel like there's a real big divide there where it's like, oh, wait, we need to make money on the product of the esport spectacle, Street Fighter League, Capcom Cup on its own, which to me seems stupid. I don't know. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It seems really dumb, but yeah, it's kind of like that with every esport though. Like you don't really know the correlation unless like you're putting like a timestamp. This guy happened to buy Street Fighter 6 right after Capcom Cup, or this guy bought Street Fighter 6 right after Evo. You don't know. Like somebody could just buy Street Fighter 6 because one of their friends is like, yo, this is a pretty good game, you should get it, and then he buys it. So the correlation between whether the esport is doing it or somebody's random friends just telling me to buy it is you can't track that kind of stuff. So I don't blame Capcom, and it's very hard, but at the same time, the esport has to have some sort of effect, or it's something you can't track. Like it's intangible. You don't know whether or not.
I would say there's probably ways they could do it. I agree.
I don't think so.
I would think for Capcom, I for sure don't think they're tracking that. I'm not going to say it's impossible though. I would say for sure this is a result of them not tracking it. You don't think they could do like DLC related? I mean, listen, we've even had the big problem with the community with this is to take another step back and go back to the original point about people freaking out about the monetization. I don't think the vast majority of the negative reactions we're seeing right now, which do vary by communities, I do want to get into that as well, is based solely on the fact that they are being asked to financially support the Capcom Cup or Capcom Pro Tour. I think there's a large number of people out there who have some amount of disposable income who are willing and maybe even eager to support the Capcom Pro Tour because they are fans of the ecosystem, fans of the tour, and they would like to support it. And we've seen this done in the past successfully in other esports. The International for Dota, they sell a DLC bundle that raises the capital for the prize pool every year. They raise millions of dollars across all these years that they've been doing this tournament by selling cosmetics and skins and things like that. And the fans buy it to fund the prize pool. And Street Fighter V used to do that. We had the CPT DLC bundles, and that was advertised, especially in Season 1, that was heavily pushed in 2016, to where 30% of the sales for that went to the prize pool for Street Fighter V. That's only when they did 250K. So they didn't break down exactly the numbers of like how much they got out of that. And I think they slowly started to not advertise that split. It became less and less clear over time because they did those bundles for several seasons. I think almost all the way through the end of Street Fighter V. But that model has existed. And I would buy the DLC for the Capcom Pro Tour. They're crappy stages where they would throw a bunch of random assets, and there would be like a bear there and like a random yoga guy, and it would just be random character assets that they had in the backgrounds of other stages put into one, and it said Capcom Pro Tour on it. I bought that because I just wanted to support the Capcom Pro Tour.
Yeah,
the stage sucked, but I bought it.
I feel like there were just a lot of cool things that were also, because I remember the do-rag Sagat costume. That costume was sick. And yeah, even then you're just getting like,
that was CPT.
Yeah, that was the CPT. I'm pretty sure that was the 2018 or 2019 bundle. I'm not sure, but right. I remember I bought that one, and that one was really cool. You just gotta have something cool to put into your product, really, or just putting into like the bundle. I don't hate the idea. I just think the way they kind of threw it upon us was really bad. Like, hey, you're paying $40 for Capcom Cup. Like you said with the Street Fighter V way, I think that was probably the better way to do it. Like, ease them into it.
Right. And it's not only that, it's $40. It's all or nothing. And it's also, there's no regional pricing. I think that's the big thing to take away from this. $40 or 6,000 yen is also very steep even for the Japanese audience. Where, in my view, I think the Capcom execs are thinking, hey, we're trying to capitalize on the Japanese audience. I talked about this on my stream. I think there's only two realities where any of this makes sense. Like me trying to put the shoes on of the Capcom execs here. A, they're thinking, you know what? We've tried monetizing Street Fighter League Japan. It was successful. The vast majority of the player base, the audience, and our addressable market is in Japan. I cannot stress enough how big Street Fighter 6 is in Japan compared to the rest of the world. I was talking about this on stream. Some people were throwing numbers at me, haven't been able to verify it. They were suggesting that between 75 to 80% of the concurrent player base is Japan right now compared to the rest of the world.
I believe you. Like I said, going there for Capcom Cup, it's a whole different feeling. I tell the story. After I got eliminated from Capcom Cup, I went to Shibuya and took the train. There were so many people just stopping me. I felt like a celebrity walking around Shibuya. People were stopping me for pictures and all that stuff. It's so much different. I've been stopped in New York a few times, but like not as much as Japan.
Damn,
like,
famous item over here.
Yeah,
oh
bro,
shit, we got a celebrity on the show.
It's so different over there compared to in the States.
It really is that big. And then also, I always pull up the viewership numbers of a lot of the pro players in Japan. Kawano is getting between 250,000 to 500,000 views per stream highlight videos. Naro with his Jamie getting 120, 200,000 views. Same thing with Tokido, whatever. All of the pro player content creators in their stream highlights where they are doing things related to being a top level player, discussing strategies, training, doing things in game, like actually trying to get good or talk about being good. You know what I mean? Like things that are about the pro life. Those are getting 500,000 views per video, which is just shitting on the rest of the content creation scene for fighting games for the rest of the world, or at least in Americas. So it's just the scale of it is so much higher. So to reiterate what I was trying to say about the two paths I see for this, one, maybe Capcom is saying, hey, our audience is all in Japan. Let's hone in on that entirely. And, we were trying to make this global push work. for a while. CPT started in 2020 doing the World Warrior, and that was the plan originally in 2019. They were announcing the World Warrior. We were trying to get the whole world involved, but with Street Fighter 6, it's exploded in Japan. Let's try to capitalize on this in Japan and focus on that audience. And, we gave our best shot with the global thing. If you want to play some Street Fighter 6, if you want to be part of this, time to learn Japanese, buddy. That's one idea. And to me, that's the thing that makes the most sense, because the other idea here is they expect this to work on a global scale. They expect a portion of their global audience to cough up 40 USD to watch Capcom Cup to make this projection work, because they're going to lose a lot of viewership. I'm sure they expect that, but they think that it's going to be worth the trade-off, at least in the short term. If they are including the rest of the world in that projection, that it's required to get sales, they're out of their damn mind, because the rest of the world is not paying this. If that's what the Capcom execs thinks, they are dumb as rocks. I'm sorry, that is stupid. The rest of the world is not paying this. They were culturally, the rest of the world is about that piracy. They will bootleg this stream, and then for the rest of the world, regions where 40 USD, people are saying that's like 1/3 of a monthly salary in other regions, or it's just like, it's such an extreme amount of money to certain parts of the world, and for certain people in different economic situations and different regions, it's just tone deaf. It's like insulting. Like, you expect them to pay this much money. You have an online qualifier for players from all over the world, and then when you give them the spot to go to Capcom Cup, no one from their home country can afford to watch them play. What are you doing? What was the point?
It's, to me, I also think it's kind of dumb, because I think Street Fighter 6 is also kind of big, because even when I was there, Blaz had so many fans in Japan. So even the Japanese player, like, all the Japanese fans aren't necessarily fans of the Japanese players. Blaz has 1 million fans. Mena obviously has 1 million Japanese fans. So you're also kind of dividing them. Obviously, they would travel to Japan if need be, but Japan might be losing out on just seeing them play, or maybe they would feel less inspired because their regions are kind of getting the short end of the stick because of how the CPT pricing is going to work.
Yeah, the Japanese audience are mega fans of the players and the scene, and I think that's why Capcom feels like they're emboldened to take advantage of that. Like, to be clear, like, that's why it works. A lot of the reactions that we saw from Japanese Twitter, and even Chris F went over some of these this morning. I was watching him doing some translations. A lot of it is like, well, it's not ideal, but if it's required or necessary to support the Pro Tour, there's a bit of like, I would prefer this not to be this way, but I will contribute or participate because I don't mind spending money on things I like, and if it's required to help and Capcom needs this, we'll be there for Capcom. That's a very general attitude we're seeing.
I think for me, and shout outs to the one. I have a Japanese fan on Twitter. He tweeted on my tweet, and it was like, I like that IDOM kind of. This is a rough translation. I like that IDOM complains and voices his frustration not only about Street Fighter 6, but like the other situations going on around the game or just with the CPT, and that he wishes more Japanese pro players or Japanese people would kind of voice their opinions more. But obviously that's not always a good thing, because I think that happened to Dogura, where Dogura got fined 1 year for Street Fighter League because he said the game's just Mayan Bison or something along those lines. So I get why they don't do it, but me too. Like, I feel like a lot of the Japanese play it very safe. It's definitely a cultural difference, because we're Americans and we just we have Americans complaining and all that other.
We like to complain
nonsense
first and get to the nuance later. It's a definite cultural difference. I mean, but you're not wrong. Like, it's one thing for the fans to speak in a more, I don't know, accepting or pragmatic tone, like, oh, we will be there in support if it's what's required of us because we like this sort of thing. But for the players, they can't say anything. If you're in Street Fighter League, Dogura did get fined or reprimanded publicly, not just for saying, oh, it's just Mayan Bison, but like he was playing Valorant or something, Apex or something like that.
And he's like, Valorant.
Yeah, they were like, oh, don't you need to practice? Oh, don't worry. What do you need to practice for? It's not that serious. Like, he was kind of making a joke, like brushing it off. And then he got fined for that. They had a whole giant. They did the Twitter thing where they had the logo with the text and a formal apology from his team. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, no one would have thought about this if you just ignored it. You know, like, why did you do the whole logo and text? Like, we're so sorry that Dogura said that Street Fighter League is not that important. It's the most important thing in the world. How dare he? So that does exist in Japan. So it's a very different experience. So I don't expect any top level players from Japan to say anything, even if they feel one way or the other. I don't expect any comments. That's just until Daigo says something, because he's the one who can kind of gently nudge the culture in different directions, and he occasionally speaks up about like the shape of the Capcom Pro Tour. Like, he spoke up about the fact that there's no point system, which was decentivizing players from traveling. He might be the person to have to say something, but I expect nothing from anyone else on the Japan side. But I do want to bring up here MenaRD's tweet, which I thought was very well worded, at least the Grok translation. He wrote this in Japanese because his intended audience was the Japanese community and, of course, the Capcom Esports division. He said in the translated tweet, "I find it hard to accept. I understand that in Japan, this is considered normal, and fortunately, the community is still able to support each other in this way. However, in many regions, including my own, there's hardly even the leeway to play this game. No one should be deprived of the opportunity to enjoy the pinnacle of Street Fighter. I think it's still too early." And I think this is a great point. I think this goes back to the conversation of like the economic realities of this, saying that in his region, there's not even enough leeway to play the game. I'm assuming it means something more like afford to play it, have the means to have access to a PC, a PlayStation, a controller. You know, there's the reality of economic differences in different parts of the world, including access. And then at that point, paywall the actual event to give that inspiration to the next generation, to the next group of Street Fighter players that could be on the come up, is extremely short-sighted. So I think that's what he's trying to tap into. I think he ends it with, I think it's still too early, meaning like going for this kind of paid product, it's not mature enough to be able to go for this. So I kind of agree with that. I don't know if you feel the same way, because the thing is, like, some people might argue we're being over dramatic because it's available for free a week later.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, nobody watches. If I miss the NBA finals, if I miss a UFC fight, I'm not going to watch it a week later. So yep. I think that's kind of the other problem that's going on. But I think Mena worded that really well. But even for me, I also think they can do this because, like you always say, how big Street Fighter 6 is. If this was for Street Fighter 5, oh my god, this would be Capcom on fire. But since Street Fighter 6 is so big, I don't want to say they're milking their audience, but you're saying they think the viewership's going to go down. I think they're going to make more money for doing this than they would even if they just, spam the ads like during the normal CPT broadcast.
Oh yeah.
Even if it was just like normally free. If they just put all the ads, ad limit at max, they're not going to make as much money as if they're charging people $40 for this.
Absolutely, yeah. To be very clear, like I mentioned before about the different approaches behind an esports model, right? The original idea, or what many people were expecting, was this is not even meant to make a return. This is part of your advertising budget for the game. So you make the return via game sales and DLC. Well, Capcom seems to be allergic to money because they cannot figure out for the life of them how to make costumes. Maybe people long speculated it's about the RE engine, like the level of detail it's required and the inability to work with the engine is causing issues. Maybe they just set too high of a quality standard. Maybe they're just not putting resources to producing costumes. They could make more money from Street Fighter 6 by just pumping out DLC. They factually could, and then the esports division could serve as the advertisement for those bundles. If they don't put out DLC, what are they advertising? You're not going to sell infinite copies of the game. A big part of that is to keep the player retention, to sell battle passes and cosmetics. They keep doing Battle Hub avatar slop, and some of that sells. But like the people that are watching a lot of the CPT events, they want costumes for the characters, dude. They want stages. They want stuff that's going to be actually part of the main PvP game mode. So Capcom is failing to provide the actual product to sell that they would advertise for through the traditional model. So then the other model would be, okay, we are an entertainment product, right? Which is a completely different mindset. that we're selling an entertainment product, therefore we need to monetize the actual show, which is completely different. Getting a return on ad revenue is, I don't think people understand how much scale you have to have, how much viewership you have to start making a return like that. The reason that works for events like the Super Bowl or World Cup and things of that nature where they give it away for free is because they have millions to billions of viewers. Yeah. We don't have that. It looks like the scale of a Super Bowl when you watch Capcom Cup 12 and the Ryogoku Kokukigan Sumo Wrestling Arena. I had to read that one and slowly pronounce each consonant there. It feels like bigger than life. It feels like millions of people are watching, but that's not true. It had like at top 320,000 viewers, which is amazing for a fighting game esports event, but you're not making a return on $1 million plus tournament for the prize pool. People pulled up the stats for how much it costs to rent that venue for the 5 days. That's going to be close to $100,000 minimum just for the venue. No internet, no security, none of the actual logistics, none of the employees working it. Just the venue itself, $100,000 out of the gate. That's probably going to crank up like crazy. People don't understand that even like in Vegas, for example, we've heard quotes of like 100,000 just for internet for the weekend as well, on top of the actual venue fees. So, and that's not even including the fact that there's a whole tour leading up to this. This is just the one event. You're not making a return on that on Twitch ads, like on YouTube running an automated ad, on Twitch running the ad. Even the sponsors inside embedded into the broadcast. I think Suzuki's been sponsoring, right, with the motorcycle, if I remember correctly, and they have some other sponsors. That they're probably not that's where the most of the money's going to come from, those embedded ads, those partners for the event. But I still don't think they're making a return on that kind of money with those numbers and how much they're investing in it. So as if they're trying to pivot now from being the marketing budget for the actual DLC and product to Street Fighter 6 to a completely separate entertainment product that they're trying to be independent and make a profit, they're forever away from that. So from that perspective, I see why they're trying to like quickly capitalize on the market they have and squeeze them for all their money. And yeah, they might make money this year. If Japan doesn't boycott this, because like I said, I don't think anyone, I think the sales internationally are going to be garbage. But if Japan shows up and pays for this, there's a chance this is the most profitable Capcom Cup ever because it'll be the first one. They would have lost money if you isolate that year after year doing this. But what about the next one? What about the one after that? Where's the audience going to come from? It's not going to be international anymore. It's going to be Japan only.
I'm a bit surprised because, yeah, I never really thought of it like that, like the Capcom Cups after, because everyone would kind of lose interest at that point. So, yeah, they kind of, I don't want to say shot themselves in the foot. They put themselves in a very awkward situation with this kind of thing. But from even what I actually think they were hoping people would do, because me and my buddies do this. If there's like a UFC fight, we'll go to I'll go to his house, we'll get some wings, get some pizza, whatever it might be. We all just watch the UFC fight together. That's what I think they were hoping people did in other countries. Kind of like, is a UFC thing, is a pay-per-view. That's what I think they were expecting. But I don't think I have 10 friends within a close enough radius that like Street Fighter 6 enough to come to my house at 4 a.m, by the way, to watch people play in Japan. So that's what I think they're hoping, but I don't think that'll work in anywhere except for like Japan.
Yeah, I think the second largest market for Street Fighter is probably America, and then maybe Brazil after that. These are what I recall being the biggest demographics outside of Japan. And those are in the opposite of the world time zone, so they're not going to be able to watch it live, most people. So they'd be paying $40 to watch the VOD. Alone.
No. Yeah, you're going to watch the VOD alone. But even then, that's kind of where, your friends come in. You pitch in. You'd be like, hey, man, $40 is $40. But, if I have 10 friends, it's What you call it?
Yeah,
And
but
it's $4.
they're not. It's not like you mentioned. It's not as ubiquitous. It's not big enough. In Japan, they do these watch parties, right? It works in Japan. Like I just feel like the perspective is all about Japan because in Japan they've already been doing watch parties for Street Fighter League. They sell the esports cafes actually sell tickets where people go to watch their favorite team. They grab their noisemaker and it has Good 8 Squad written on it, and they go, "Yay!" They watch the stream in the venue for their individual esports cafe where they play that, and then they clap their noisemaker when Kawano does a throw loop, and they go, "Whoa, yay, Good 8 Squad," or "Oh, yay, good, Crazy Raccoon." Whatever team is their team, and that has been working in Japan. But that's because it's that big and that ubiquitous, and also Japan has the ability to walk around and go places. Like Japan is a different planet. People are able to go outside and find places to actually. There's third places that are affordable, and you can do social gatherings like that. That doesn't exist in most parts of America, I would argue. And the rest of the world, it's going to be too niche of an attraction to really do that. I think it was in the same time zone. A few people would do a watch party, and those will probably still exist, but not to the scale. If Capcom is really expecting this to work, not to that scale. I highly doubt it. Like people are not going to be paying $40 to watch the fucking VOD the next day. Yeah, and on top of that, oh, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say that's kind of the main issue. Watching the VOD, you want to see it live, but even for other sports events, people in other countries watch the Super Bowl live. They might stay up to 5 in the morning to watch the Super Bowl. But even in their perspective, it's only for one day, so it's much different. Having to watch Capcom Cup for 5 days, and you got to be up for 4 in the morning or 5 days in a row. Yeah, most people probably can't do that.
Yeah, they would want to skip out on the group stages, maybe just tune in for the top 16, the one that they're charging $40 for. And on top of that, what?
No. I was gonna say that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So, and on top of that, for the general cultural awareness of this, with this week-long blackout, you can't do any content creation, any recaps, any media. Like, what are they thinking? Like the whole point of when the event ends is everyone goes, "Wow, that was all amazing. We shared in this hype moment together." There's a level of excitement and cultural exchange, and just like it being a moment in time. Social media is going off, Twitter's going crazy, people are making recaps, people are highlighting different clips and sharing it. It's meant to be a live cultural moment that people participate in, and that gets people the most inspired and the most engaged in the esport itself, right? And then including content creators, like because of the fact that this is a different time zone, it could be hard for people to catch up for that. For example, last Capcom Cup, I did recaps every single day, pumping those out every day so that the American audience can catch up on what happened. Now, you're not going to be able to hear about anything or see any footage or have any of that being leveraged to highlight what happened, doing an analysis until a week later. And by that point, it's old news. It's been spoiled. You didn't get to see any of it, and you just don't care anymore. It just loses that magic and appeal. So it's going to only hurt the cultural footprint of Capcom Cup. It cannot increase it. This is not increasing its presence in the world, right? It's only going to hurt it. So I just don't understand what the long-term play here is. Is it really going to make that much of a return on investment where they're going to be able to support this for longer? So, and if so, to me, this means, once again, this is Japan first. This means that, yeah, maybe you start making money, but you become less and less relevant to the rest of the world. And this becomes a product for Japan only. And then Street Fighter Esports moves to Japan, which is the way I feel like it's been going for a long time. I've been preaching this to you.
Yeah.
And this is another indicator to me that it's time to learn Japanese. I'm dead serious. If you're in this industry for Street Fighter, if you're a pro player, content creator, get into this. Everything is pointing in this direction. And Capcom seems to be doubling down on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this succeeds. It almost might be worse if this does well. Is what I think.
So you're kind of hoping it kind of fails, but I think there's ways. Like I said, I think the way they're doing it is bad. I do think there were probably so many ways to make it better. I'm even just trying to spitball or brainstorm here. Say, I don't know, Capcom Cup's on Crunchyroll, I don't know, Netflix. And then you're going through Crunchyroll and you see Capcom Cup grand finals on Crunchyroll. You might actually, tune in to watch it. So there's better ways they can do it. I just think kind of what Mena said, they're doing it too fast. I feel like if I could prepare for Capcom Cup to be the scale in like a 2028, they could do it a lot better. But to do it so fast is kind of hard. But I think they're also trying to capitalize on the Street Fighter 6 hype, and obviously everyone loves Street Fighter 6 right now, so you might as well do it now.
It feels extremely short-sighted. Like they're like, oh crap, we need to make money right now. Like this feels like someone woke up in a panic and just said, oh, I'll make it $40. I don't know. Like it just feels extremely short-sighted because it's also on a Japanese pay-per-view service, which is why the prices are all in yen, right? Just even the optics of that. They tweeted out on the American account these pay-per-view prices in yen. It already feels, I don't know, man. It's starting to feel a little like they didn't mention anything about regional pricing or anything. It's just like, hey, go to the Japanese website, which is already going to be a huge issue because if you've ever tried to buy anything from a Japanese website, that shit is almost impossible. I mean, I tried to get a restaurant reservation in Japan. That was a 2-hour ordeal, not just because of the translation barrier, the language barrier, but just like their web infrastructure, the way they do their websites is archaic. It's insane. So, and even registering for the CPT Japan premiere that I went to, that was a mission and a half. I had to get Fubar Duck to bail me out. He had to use a second Japanese phone number to get an account on there for me. We had to do a whole bunch of shit. You get your ticket online, then you go to a 7-Eleven and you bring your QR code and then you print it out there. It's really weird. So I predict a lot of issues for anyone who actually even tries to go through with this, going through this service. SPWN spawn, maybe. I don't know what it stands for. So who knows how that's even going to play out logistically, if it's even going to work that well for the international audiences who dare cough up their money for this. But beyond that, I just don't see. I agree with what you're saying as well as what Men is saying about it being too early. But it's not too early to monetize. It's too early, or it's never the right time to exploit your fan base. There's so many of us that want to support the Capcom Pro Tour. I would love to buy the DLC. I would love to give Capcom my money. They refuse to take it. But then they do this, which feels like a scumbag move. I don't want to give them $40 for this pay-per-view. If they instead said, hey guys, we're looking to make the Capcom Pro Tour more sustainable. We are going to be offering a partnered stream or a premium stream here where you can pay more money for a little bit of behind the scenes content or something a little different. Whereas on the mainstream, we're just going to be running ads. Like if they slowly started to offer this separation of services and offer extra for those who pay for it, things of that nature, like I guarantee you so many people would pay just because they don't even care about the perks. They just want to pay because they want to support this whole industry because they enjoy the show. I would gladly pay for that, and people who have disposable income and want to support would probably also pay for that, and then those who can't or don't want to support or don't have the means to could just watch for free. This lack of communication just makes it feel like a cash grab, like they're just trying to exploit you. It's just a horrific optics from Capcom here.
Other esports have like more benefits from fighting games, because like fighting games are very limited. But like other esports in Overwatch, you could be like, oh, do you want to pay extra money to see this guy's POV of him playing Widowmaker or whoever he's playing? That's kind of like the downside for fighting games, like paying extra money to get Blaz's point of view when, Blaz is seeing what I'm seeing on the screen anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There's no point to doing that.
Capcom could have done that anyways, and I would be like, I get what you're doing, Capcom, but here's $5. You're struggling. You know what I mean? They could have said, pay $5 for Blaz POV. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, Capcom. You need some help, don't you? That $1 million prize pool's expensive. Here you go. I got you.
But even like you're saying, I don't think it would always work, because even say if there was a bundle, if it was like a $40 avatar slot bundle, would you get that? I feel like that's also kind of a slap in the face a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would piss people off. They'd have to price it more reasonably, but I would pay. If they did a Capcom Pro Tour Avatar bundle, I would buy it. If they told me, hey, this is supporting the Capcom Pro Tour, part of the proceeds or for the prizing, whatever. If you make it if they were to present it in a way of like, that your financial contribution directly correlates or impacts the community, the players, and provides some kind of support to the actual community, people would be happy to pay that. They would be happy to pay it. But this maybe this is that intention. Maybe this is well-meaning, like, hey, we have to do this to support this, to make it sustainable. But with the way they're implementing it and the lack of communication, it completely ruins any sense of goodwill. And it's just dumb to paywall it. I just think this is the wrong way to go about it. Like, maybe they could have done a quality option, which is what, that's what Canada Cup did, by the way. $8.95. I always bring that up. Lapshy was ahead of his time, man. They paywalled the higher bit rates for Canada Cup. So that was back in 2011, I think, and everyone memed on it for forever. $8.95 back then is like $13 today. Now we're being charged $40 instead. So just to get access, period. So maybe Canada Cup was ahead of their time, but even that would be better, right? Like, hey, listen, we're doing something. I still think that wouldn't go over too well. I think people would still be pissed about that. But I sympathize with the issue of trying to make this sustainable. And I saw some critiques or people saying like, Brian F thinks that people must do pay-per-view or must cough up their money to keep this thing going or must get used to it. I don't feel that way at all. However, I do sympathize with the economic reality of the scale of the esports show has far outpaced any potential return. And Capcom has failed, in my opinion, to make Street Fighter VI a live service model and game. They've absolutely failed. I don't know what... I am shocked with the level of content they put out over the past couple of years. And that used to be a talking point I would bring up a lot. I gave up. I moved on. This is not a live service game at all.
Well, I think everyone thought when 6 was going to come out that it was going to be free to play, because 5 was definitely leading towards the free to play model, especially with the Zenny to get your characters. So 5 had it right, but then I guess 6 just, I don't know what happened. I always say this: 6 was too good for his own good.
What do you mean by that?
I definitely think I think since 6 is so good, Capcom can kind of take advantage of a lot of the, like I said, I definitely think the pay-per-view is because 6 is amazing, and what are you going to do? It's a really well-received game. It's so good in Japan. Why would I not take advantage of, people loving our game?
You're saying they're coasting now? Because in Street Fighter V, they went into overdrive on DLC and patches and everything to fix the game over the years. You could argue that, but also wouldn't you just say like, hey, we have an amazing game with a ton of active players, why don't we keep putting out DLC to keep making money from our active and engaged players? Like, that would be the reasonable thing to assume. I honestly think that either the management or the devs are incompetent. I don't see any other way around it. I think someone is failing to make the costume. Someone can't get the costumes done fast enough.
So I think we have two different perspectives. I think like you're a child. You got an A on an exam, and you got the A. And now that I got the A, I'm gonna go into the next exam. I'm gonna get an A anyway. I'm cool. You're thinking I got an A. I should have got an A plus.
No, it's I got $1. Now I can use that $1 to make $2 and $3 and $4. It's not get an A and it's over. You want to have a recurring active player base to constantly extract wealth and money from them. That's the whole point. You capture the audience, keep them captured, and keep making money off of them.
They're going to stay captured anyway.
Capture doing what? Playing your game for free, driving up your server costs? That's a burden. Having players that are playing your game without you selling them anything costs you money. You are losing money until you sell them something new.
They're going to get we're going to get, who's the next DLC? Alex is going to come out eventually. Like, that's the money we're going to get. Obviously it could be more, but Alex is going to come out soon.
It could be more. My point is it could be more. That is my point. And cosmetics have been a proven way. It's supposed to be a low effort, high return item, and they failed that. And I think that is trickling into the issues with the esports division, because the whole point of the esports division is it's not a separate entertainment product that's meant to make a return on its own. It's meant to advertise your game that has an active marketplace where you can buy things as you like the game and keep the players, keep the player retention high through the excitement of the esport. Like, there's a whole ecosystem. There's a unity there, right? There's a symbiotic relationship that is falling apart. And now, for some reason, it seems like Capcom is treating esports like it's meant to be an actual sport. Like, you know, the NBA doesn't exist to sell you basketball. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go out and buy the game of basketball. The NBA doesn't own that. That is an abstract concept. I can ball up a piece of paper and shoot into a trash can. I'm playing basketball. You know, NBA can't sell you that. What they can sell is instead the merch, the ad revenue, the eyeballs, monetize the audience watching it. That's an entertainment product. For some reason, it seems like Street Fighter 6 is trying to go in that direction, and we're not there. We are not there at all. So I think that's the failure here.
I don't think that's ever going to happen in any esports. Like, actually, funny enough, I got a Daigo shirt on, but
you're a rare breed, Idom, to buy merch.
I wouldn't. I got this for what did I get this? I got this for getting third at East Coast, for getting second at East Coast third.
So you didn't even pay for it. That's a problem. No one's buying merch. If we all bought merch, maybe there, you know, something would be different.
But yeah, I don't think anyone. It's not as cool to buy like a Daigo jersey instead of having like a sports jersey. At least sports jerseys are cool. Like, oh, I'm the cool guy. But if you have a Daigo jersey, who's Daigo? Umahara? What does that mean? Like, yeah, I think that's kind of just the difference.
We're a long way from that, but yeah, that's my view of like where this has failed. I don't know. It just seems strange to me. And like I said, I really wish they would have made an attempt to monetize differently. So many people would want to support the Capcom Pro Tour and make this accessible. And I can't stress enough how much of an issue this is going to be for fans from around the world. Like the example of Blas, man. Imagine being in Chile, Blas is out there, you know, he made top 16, and you can't watch his legendary run to grand finals until a week later. He's already going to be home. He's like, hey guys, how did you like the show? And they're like, we don't know yet. Because it's $40, and to certain parts of the world and to certain people, that's a ton of money. It's an unreasonable amount of money with no regional pricing. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's extremely short-sighted, and they could do pay-per-view if they just made an effort to offer incentives, to do something, talk to the community, be part of the community, like be involved a little bit. Whoever made this decision, in my view, is completely divorced from the FGC. Like no connection whatsoever. Just seeing numbers, seeing Street Fighter League Japan projections and sales, and trying to extrapolate that to what's supposed to be the culmination of a global circuit with global qualifiers from around the world, from regions who might not be able to, with people who might not be able to afford this. And it just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know. Do you have any other last thoughts or analysis on the situation? Because I think I've exhausted my talking points.
For me, it's just like I said, I don't hate it. I do think they just did it early. I don't hate the idea. If, like I said, if you did it maybe a few years down the line, it could have been better. But also, I think for one thing, people want to watch their favorite players, and not being able to watch their favorite players at Capcom Cup might suck. And then the other problem is I could watch my favorite player and then he just gets throw looped or knocked out of the tournament. It's weird for fighting games because, like I said, you never even know how well or how good or bad somebody's going to really do. Versus like in UFC, if I want to watch a boxer or I want to watch somebody fight, I'm going to see them fight. Like, they're not going to not fight. Like my favorite player, Blas might get throw looped out of the tournament, and then I wasted $40 for what?
Yeah, but okay, they might get knocked out in UFC or in a boxing match in 10 seconds.
It can happen fast. It can happen fast, but it's also kind of like, I guess in Street Fighter it just feels more shitty. Like, it was kind of like, oh damn, he got smoked versus.
I think a lot of people who do pay-per-view for these fights also feel like it's pretty shitty.
They get scammed. They get
scammed. So in general, I think that's a risk with pay-per-view in general that can happen. But yeah, fair points. I do want to bring up some of the conversation we had over at patreon.com/Brian_F. I went to the people to get their thoughts. Someone or some of the thoughts here. 6 Mil mentioned that they loved my take on having the Battle Hub serve as a way to watch the tournament. Isn't that strange that we have the Battle Hub and it has that giant screen and people can't watch the game in the Battle Hub? Well, that's one thing I was recommending as well is, what if it was pay-per-view, But if you own the game and the game is on sale for $10, ooh, you know, and you can watch it in game and have the virtual watch party. Doesn't it seem like that was the point of the Battle Hub in the first place?
It's so funny because I thought you could already do that. I thought that was legitimately just a thing in the game. I was like, oh yeah, whenever I thought it was like a Capcom Cup or EWC, I always just thought you could do that. I didn't know that wasn't a thing.
Can you?
Is it? I don't think so. I don't
You
know.
can watch
I thought
Battle Hub tournaments, I think, but that's it, right? I don't think you can watch. They don't have any infrastructure, from what I know, to actually like feed in actual CPT matches and tournaments. That's what it should be for.
Yeah, that's what it actually should be for. I didn't know that. I actually thought that was already just a thing. If there was a big tournament, obviously they're not going to stream like a CEO or UFA, but for like the majors, like I thought they already did that.
Yeah,
so
for
that would be
Capcom Cup,
cool.
it makes sense too, and that to me also feeds into the whole ecosystem. You already bought the game, you get to watch the stream, and it's on sale for cheap. So if you want to get the game as well to watch it, I mean, I still don't know if they should even pay-per-view at all, but if at some point they go that path, that to me would be something that actually at least connects the dots, and you're giving access to those who've already supported the game in the community, and then you give an avenue for people to get into it. So another missed opportunity as well. Smoking Seabass here says, personally, I don't mind it being pay-per-view. It being $27 so just for top 16 is insane, though. Yeah, aside from just pay-per-view, the price point is nuts. Why is it $27 for a day?
I don't think, to me, I guess the way I see it, it's not terrible. Like if you go do something else, like if you go to an amusement park, Brian, you're paying way more than $27, and that thing's gonna last. The CPT stream is gonna last more than me going to the music. Well, I guess the CPT stream might be shorter, but it's way cheaper. To me, I feel like if you do anything in the world, if I go do something, it's gonna be more expensive than me watching.
Yeah, but you're talking about going to a place, like you're going to go bowling and get a beer and a burger, dude. Like, you're getting fed and you're getting entertained. Is this stream going to spit out a pizza? What are you talking about, dude?
Okay, if I go bowling, if I go to a bar, if I go do anything like outside, it's going to be more expensive than me watching CPT. I actually don't think the $27 is that bad, personally. It might be, I actually don't think it's that bad.
Maybe you're also from New York. I mean, things are expensive. Like I said, it's all about it's regional pricing, right? Depends on people who are listening to this are like, what the hell are you smoking out on? But it's all regional, right? Like $27 to certain people in certain parts of the world is just an insane price. I get where you're coming from, and pay-per-view for other entertainment products, it's way more expensive. The other thing we didn't even touch on is there's no announcement that the stream will be different from the stream last year. Meaning the commentators still gotta, take a piss and eat a sandwich, right? Like there's still gonna be downtime. The players have to swap out with the matches. There's still gonna be downtime and ads. Like no matter what, they didn't leave the announcement like, hey, it's pay-per-view, but we're up in the quality. In between the matches, we're doing exclusive interviews. We have entertaining side media pieces. Like we really stepped the game up. They didn't lead with any of that. So that leads me to assume it's gonna be the same quality. So you're paying all that money for a stream filled with ads. I mean, I think the Capcom Cup stream was good for free. Really good, actually. But for paid, I don't know if it's that good. No, I don't think it was. Like, it was good for free. It was great for free. Loved it.
They just forgot to say that they're gonna do Justin Wong rock paper scissors on stream. That's
what they're missing. Now they can take my money, Capcom. You got it. You got it. So Lucas Francesca here says, the biggest hit for me is that this whole thing is the inability to make derivative content about the event until a week later. Highlights, reactions, and all is such a big part of it, feeling like we're all a part of the spectacle, even though we weren't there. Yeah, there's going to be fallout from this. It's not just the event itself. It's all the buzz around it. It's going to be crickets. There's going to be like one or two dudes like, wow, like on Twitter. Can you believe that? Like normally when something hype happens during Capcom Cup or EVO or whatever, you see something, you refresh Twitter and all you see is LMAO or like, oh my God. Like, it's just associated with the time, what they're reacting to. You're part of it. It's almost like an extended chat. That's gone. And then also the buzz and discussion after for a whole week. A week is so long, dude.
Yeah. It's just a missed opportunity. Like you're gonna miss like, oh, X player did something sick, or the common one after a tournament. Oh, I always knew X character was broken. That's always my favorite.
That's
So
the fun.
yeah, that's part of the fun stuff of watching brackets live.
Yeah. So I think they're missing huge opportunities here. But I'm curious what the people think. This has been an ongoing conversation on Twitter. A lot of the Japanese reactions we've seen have been a lot more accepting. I think we need to find a way to bridge that gap, because I think this is going to. My prediction is this is going to be an ongoing trend with Capcom and Street Fighter, and unless this blows up in their face, there's a few outcomes. Either this is extremely successful, and in my view, that means that they're going to triple down at this point on making Street Fighter a Japan-focused product and esport alone. And goodbye Street Fighter League USA, goodbye Street Fighter League EU. You want to get part of the big leagues, time to learn Japanese, get on over there, qualify for Capcom Cup in Japan. Or it blows up in their face and they never do this again. Or it blows up in their face and we don't have a Capcom Cup next year. I don't know. I feel like this is the precursor to dramatic changes either way. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I feel like big things are going to shift after this. I don't know if you feel the same way, Idom.
Hey, I don't know. I've been saying this since the first year. Yeah, the right answer is actually just get rid of the million. They shot themselves in the foot with the million thing. I think if they got rid of the million and did like, maybe, I don't want to say cut back, but if they fixed a lot of things that they're doing with the Pro Tour, I actually think they wouldn't have to charge for pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think the million. I also think the era of the sticker shock of the $1 million prize pool is over.
Yeah.
First of all, listen. SNK is doing 1.5 million for City of the Wolves. Like, it's over, dude. Like, we've seen if that was the driving force to getting people to pick up your game and to care about your esport, then City of the Wolves would be the most popular fighting game of all time.
Yes.
It did not work. I think that has proven it. Like, Capcom's like, we're gonna do 1 million. Yeah, we'll do fucking 1.5, baby. And they have negative players right now, dude. Like, it doesn't work that way. And I think at this point, normies are numb to these prize pools. It's already been done. Fortnite did even larger prize pools. That sticker shock is over. And I think if you knock down the first place prize, which it should never have been that high, or at least the prize split should never have been that extreme. Where second place gets 100,000, first place gets 1 million, and seventh place gets like 5K. That's stupid. It's insulting. Yeah, I think that's horrific, that prize split. So they need to drop first place to like do like the Esports World Cup split, if anything, like 300K for first. 250 is to 300K. I think it's a solid first place prize where it's serious fucking money. People care about it, and then you can lower the overall prize pool and still bump up every other placement. They could really save a lot of money. They could save at least $500,000, I think. It'd make everybody happy.
Yeah. They could honestly cut the entire budget, because what is 1.187 million? That's the total amount of money in the CPT right now. They could probably knock that to like 600, 700K, and I still think people would like be happy just to qualify, and like, yeah, just that first place get like 300K and split it way better.
Yeah, I think that's a big mistake on their part to keep that up. I do agree with you that it should have been the first year and they should have backed off from that. Because if anything, I always am a proponent of making things more sustainable, support more players. Giving one guy $1 million does not help the scene. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Like, you need to distribute the pricing and create an ecosystem for sustainability. So in that sense, like, I understand Capcom looking for answers. I think they're looking for answers in the wrong place. I want this to be sustainable. I'm not against paying for entertainment. I'm not against paying out of my own pocket to support the things that I enjoy. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are willing to do so, but you got to approach it the right way. You got to be in tune with the community. You have to be understanding of different socioeconomic status and where people are. And you can't cut off access to the pinnacle of what it's all about. You have this global tour to inspire people from around the world, and then you want to deprive them of the ability to see that payoff at the very end. It's almost a little like cruel. I don't know. It just feels like it's like a tease the whole way. Like, why did you even have the qualifier in these regions if then those players can't see the representative or be able to even afford the representative to watch a representative compete on the world stage. So I really hope Capcom figures this out, and I'm hoping for a sustainable future. This makes me question what's going on with the world of esports even more than I already do. Things have not been looking too healthy lately, but we'll move forward and see what Capcom does next. I'm hoping for an announcement of some nuance and some changes on these pricing models, and hopefully Capcom adds more context to what's going on. And if not, we'll see if we have a Capcom Cup next year. Anyways, I think it's a good place to wrap up. That's all I got for this one. Any final words from you, Idom, for the people?
Capcom just needs to make more Chun-Li costumes.
Facts. That's something we can all agree upon. All right, Capcom. You got the message here. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, everybody. Peace. Hey, you made it to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Extra Trashy. If you're watching on a video feed, either on YouTube or Spotify, the names you're seeing on the screen scrolling past you right now are the names of our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/Brian_F. This show, including Trash Talk and Extra Trashy, is possible due to their support, so we wanted to take this time to give a very special thank you. I also want to personally thank our landfill members, Chuckle Chuck, SBO, Hastrith, Jonathan Ayala, Kelly Lyles, and Smoking Seabass. Thank you so much for supporting the show, and thank you so much to everyone who tunes in to Extra Trashy and Trash Talk. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.